governor still had a policy in place. Tell me about this pick and what you think sort of could be the outcome of Dr. Levine in this role.
Well, we're awarding a person who did a horrible job as the Secretary of Health for the state of Pennsylvania. I believe that 6 of the top 10 sites for mortality from the virus were nursing homes in Pennsylvania. If you think what was bad that was done in New York, I bet when this all comes out, what happened in Pennsylvania will be even worse. So while she was ordering people to admit patients with corona to the nursing homes, she was getting her own mother out of the nursing home, as you suggested. But probably the bigger concern I have here is when we questioned her about is she in favor of just giving transgenders unlimited rights. So certainly this concept allowing boys to compete in girls' sports, but she as a practicing physician is a huge advocate for this. And she does a lot of experimental, what I would consider experimental medicine, where she's giving hormones pre-adolescence to prevent boys from going into puberty or prevent girls from going into puberty as well, and then doing surgeries on folks before puberty as well. And when we asked her about parental involvement and parental permission, she's been very hesitant to describe her position on that as well. So we're very concerned about, I want to know how our secretaries or assistant secretaries think, as well as what their record is. And unfortunately, I think this is a person who does not represent American values.
We'll keep an eye on that confirmation as it progresses, potentially. But we've got to ask you about those talks between Secretary of State Antony Blinken and top Chinese officials happening in Anchorage, Alaska, making a lot of rounds on social media. Criticism also for the United States and how they come across. You think the U.S. appeared yesterday during those talks?
Right. So I think that the whole concern here on Capitol Hill is President Biden and his administration are soft on China, and China can smell blood in the water. So they're going to come after us, right? You know, President Trump had China back on their heels. We're selling records amounts of grain to China right now, thanks to President Trump's agriculture trade policies. So many good things were starting to happen with China, but now we've taken 3 steps back, and China's going to test President Biden. Is President Biden willing to draw a line and say enough? Are we going to stand up for Hong Kong? Are we going to stand up for Taiwan? Or are we going to just concede to China and let them buy the whole world? So I think the world is watching. This is President Biden's first chance out there to show the world where America is, that American is still the world leader.
Yeah, the talks continue today, and we will keep monitoring them. I know you will as well. Senator Marshall joining us live on National Report. Senator, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Still ahead, troubling news that Pennsylvania may have been hoarding PPE. One lawmaker and his team finding reportedly evidence of stockpiles in a Pennsylvania warehouse of PPE. Let's get to the bottom of it. What's happening? Doug Mastriano joins us live to discuss after this.
Sir, while we're in commercial, could you give me a mic check, please?
Absolutely. Test 1, 2, 3. Test.
Got you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, new images emerging of Pennsylvania warehouse stocked with reportedly what is PPE. Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano and his team recently got a tour of the warehouse. That's where these photos came from. That state senator joining us now. Senator Mastriano, good to see you. So your team took these pictures. Walk me through that.
Actually, it's a whistleblower. I went over 2 days ago to have access to the facility as a senator with oversight, constitutional responsibility, and I was refused entry.
What? They wouldn't let you in.
You can't make this stuff up. And so there was a lot of confusion, typical bureaucratic nut roll. I was there for 90 minutes or more, talking to various bureaucrats, getting mixed stories. And the Secretary of Ag is personally responsible, apparently, for access to that facility. His office is literally across the street from the farm complex being used as a temporary warehouse. And in the end, the bureaucrats won. We'll be back, though.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Anyways, regardless, so we're showing this video. We're showing these photos, rather. What are we looking at here?
So you're looking at 15 to 20,000 pallet loads of PPE, which includes gloves and sanitizer and masks and face shields, etc. And it was stockpiled as a temporary location here at the Pennsylvania Farm Complex facility. And the governor's plan was in September, he anticipated a surge in the virus in the fall, in October, November, December, and this would be a centralized launching point to bring relief to hospitals and elder care facilities. But in the end, it seems like they just stockpiled and didn't push out, because we had numerous reports of desperate need of shortages in these nursing homes and hospitals and for our first responders. And the question is, why did the PPE just sit there? Are we hoarding it here in Harrisburg? And what's the point? And additionally, the farm complex is used to a lot of shows, agricultural shows, car shows, gun shows, etc. And it generates $350 million worth of revenue every year. And instead of using this facility as it was designed as a public point, it's used for this PPE to stack up there. And the thing that's really troubling to me is a lack of transparency, this mismanagement and perhaps incompetence, because now we're going to have to pay to move these 15 to 20,000 pallet loads to another location since they weren't pushed out to the people when they needed it.
Okay, but wouldn't you, help me out with this, Senator, wouldn't you want your state to have an abundance of PPE?
Absolutely, and I support the idea that Harrisburg, that the governor would stockpile a bit of this. But this temporary facility here, the farm complex, was designed just to hold it temporarily for a predicted spike that didn't happen in the fall. We had shortages across the state, so my question is to the governor and to his staff is, why didn't we just push out this vital PPE to the hospitals and nursing homes? We have a self-created crisis in the state here, because as you rightly said in the previous segment, Secretary Levine, of course, decided to send the sick back into the homes, resulting in over half of all our deaths in the state. And these same nursing home, long-term care facilities had a desperate need in October and November. And why wasn't this PPE out of the farm complex pushed out to those people to save lives and protect people?
I'm going to ask you about Dr. Levine in just a moment, but before I do, I just want to ask you again, as far as what we saw, the pictures again from a whistleblower, as you put it, of the stockpile of PPE in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Being a legislator, did your state order more PPE? How did you get that abundance of PPE? And did you know that was coming in? Do you know where it's going to be distributed? Are you sending it back? What's the plan with it? And how did it get there in the first place?
We don't know the plan, but it got there as a result of the governor deciding, rightly so, to bring into Pennsylvania and Harrisburg, a central location, a stockpile for the outbreak he predicted in the fall, which didn't happen. But there was still a shortage in the fall. So why do we just build up this stockpile instead of up pushing it out. The second part of all this here is there has been no transparency in Pennsylvania. I mean, I simply go over there as a senator. I talk to the Secretary of Ag before I go over to this facility. Just want to walk around and see how taxpayer money has been used or wasted or mismanaged in this case. And to be denied access just raises a lot of questions. Perhaps there's nothing to see here, but it looks like there's plenty to see.
Doug, who told you no? I'm just curious. Was it a security guard at the front that didn't realize you're a state senator? I mean, how did you not get in?
So the security, of course, they wanted permission from their bosses, and I didn't press them real hard. Back in my youth, I was a security guard, and I don't want anyone to get fired, but it was higher up, and I'll pin that on the Secretary of Health, Dr. Redding. I was on the phone with him several times, and additionally, we were texting, and then he ceased communicating with me when he realized I was outside a facility waiting for access, and his bureaucrats, his staff, and his legislative coordinator with the Senate, they were the ones that blocked my entry in the end. But he's responsible, and he's a good man, and I'm just I don't understand what's going on here. The optics of this just makes it look terrible.
It's questionable, yeah, but either way, hopefully you'll be able to get some answers on that in your state. All right, let's talk about Dr. Levine from your home state. The Senate, as you know, advancing her nomination to a part of the Biden administration, being a part of the health administration, a part of HHS. Why do you think she's kind of going unscathed when it comes to the nursing home death scandal? Governor Cuomo's being hit about this. Governor Murphy's kind of under the radar. Whitmer's under the radar. But Dr. Levine faced the same allegations and reports when it comes to the numbers of nursing home deaths, and she keeps moving her way to the top. Why is that?
Yeah, I don't know why in America you'd want to reward failure. And as I said previously on your program, in the Army, it's merit-based. We don't care who you are as long as you get the job done and do it well. And Levine has done a terrible job as the Secretary of Health, and whose policies a year ago, just on the 18th of March last year, to send the sick back into homes, unleashed the plague in Pennsylvania. So 12,600 deaths are on the hands of Levine and the Wolf administration. Instead of the media in Pennsylvania finding out what happened and holding Levine accountable, they celebrated Levine as some kind of great hero because of identity politics. And this is not a good thing. We don't want failure to be rewarded. This is a terrible plan. A lot of people's lives were lost, and Levine needs to be held accountable, as well as our governor. And as was marked during your previous segment, Levine knew that this was a bad idea, and of course saved Levine's own mom, smuggled mom out of a home and dropped Levine's mom into a hotel in Hershey. And what about the rest of the moms out there? They don't matter?
Yeah, a lot of folks are asking that very question. Okay, I got to go, but real quickly. So you do not support Dr. Levine being in this position?
I do not, because there's just sheer incompetence there.
All right, I'll leave it right there. State Senator Doug Mastriano of Pennsylvania. Good to see you, Doug, and thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you. God bless you.
Too.
Coming up, Britney Spears, Battle for Independence. That's captured international.
Okay, hopefully did you guys proud. Thanks for hanging in there. I know I went live a couple minutes early there, so thanks for hanging in there. Yep, Robert, you're right. It's just crazy. Harriet, it's strange. Oh, this is just, yeah, Lynn, you're right, and Paulette, there needs to be accountability, and we're sick of the double standard. Yella, thank you. Well, thanks, Julie and Paul. I appreciate it. Just wanted to share that with you guys. So let me lay a few things. So obviously we're diving into the research. So some folks out there, some of our volunteers are feeding me information, which I do appreciate. And knowledge is power, and it's even better when it's shared. So the last time the legislative body had any transparency on what was going on, based off of the latest research in the farm complex, was September. And apparently Representative Mark Keller and I guess a few other reps and some staff were over there, took their pictures and left. Now that is before really we have this issue that we're talking about now. And I know the complex was used as temporary storage a bit before that. But for this, for 15 to 20,000 pallet loads, 800 truckloads worth of PPE sitting in there, that's the last time there's any oversight. So this needs to be investigated. There's a lot of questions that haven't been asked, since September, and terrible optics, just downright dumb not to let me in 2 days ago. So it makes things even look bad. And maybe there's nothing to see here. Maybe there is a good distribution plan and what have you, but just by locking the door to a senator, it just betrays the fact that there's probably something that they don't want to be seen. So, and that's a darn shame. And that's why people at the door is like, I don't know why they're not letting you in there. There's nothing to see but pallet loads of stuff. I'm like, exactly. And I was in Harrisburg that day, talked to the Secretary of Agriculture, did not seem to be a problem, and then obviously there was drama. Okay. Gene, I do hope we get answers. That's all we want. Sent a formal letter yesterday. They're going to have to reply. Ed, very frustrating. This whole situation is ridiculous this past year. And Jan is right. There's no coincidences. Jessica is asking, has the governor renewed the emergency order? Yes, he does. It now lasts until end of May. Okay, well. Listen, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Top fan. Bob says, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Yep, it does seem that way. And so Angela is right. We gave the benefit of the doubt, but it just doesn't smell right. I agree. Pallets from China, D comments. Yep. And Valerie, good to see you. When there isn't transparency, something seems wrong. Yeah, they only feed into the questions. And Megan's right, it raises eyebrows. Thank you, Rebecca, for your prayers. It's good to see you a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago now. So, okay. As much as transparency as a filthy window. That's funny, Lynn. Lisa, thank you. Yeah, okay. So Levine, lastly. I do believe Levine will be confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health, or whatever the title's going to be in Washington, D.C. And coming out of one of the most merit-based organizations in the United States, the United States Army, we could care less who you are or who you think you are, but if you get the job done and do it well, you'll get rewarded and promoted. To promote failure, as we've seen at the hands of Levine, such as the stockpiling, that's Levine's too. I know Pima had their fingers in that as well, but Secretary of Health owns that. Secretary of Ag has culpability as the supervisor of that facility, across the street from the office, by the way. And then, of course, the governor in the end. And starting to see some media do fair, reasonable reports out there. And so I see the mayor of Chambersburg, because now he understands why the facility, they are denied use of the facility, because it's used as a warehouse. Here's how it should have went down. Okay, we need a temporary facility. That's fine. In the meantime, September, October, let's find a place they could warehouse this, push out the stuff from the farm complex, and then start stockpiling at a permanent location. And that didn't happen. Instead, they stockpiled in the farm complex. And now you're going to pay twice. Unless the PP there is going to be pushed out over the next 4 or 5 months, it's going to be a long time to empty that place out. We're going to pay government bureaucracy and waste at its best. We're going to pay for transportation costs, not only to get it there in the first place, but to move it to the permanent location. And then, of course, there's questions about the shelf life of that material. So anyway, I got to go. Look forward to seeing you guys on the radio today. God bless you guys, and thanks for being on the show with me. God bless.